Alrighty, well, welcome, and our town clerk's we're gonna start off with a public hearing this evening.
Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held by the Town Board of the Town of Phillipstown on March 3rd, 2022, at 7:30 p.m. at the Phillipstown Town Hall, 238 Main Street, Cold Spring, New York. The purpose of the public hearing is to hear comments for or against a proposed local law entitled A Local Law to Amend Town of Phillipstown Town Code, Chapter 82, entitled Energy Conservation, to update the provisions thereof regarding the State Energy Conservation Construction Code. A complete copy of the local law is available for inspection upon request, sent to townclerk@phillipstown.com, and is also available on the town's website, phillipstown.com, dated February 23rd, 2022, by order of the Town Board. Tara K. Percocello, Town Clerk.
So you're gonna read through the whole thing, right, Tim?
Absolutely not.
So, this was started by our Energy Smart community with Crystal Ford. It's continuing our direction in being a greener community. We seem to be ahead of the curve with a lot of stuff, thanks to our great volunteers and workers that help us to get these programs going. So this is basically an amendment or a change to the law as far as energy conservation on your home. That's putting it in a very easy way. Now, Crystal, would you like to elaborate a little bit more onto, I'm sure you can. And we also have, thank you, Greg Warner, our code enforcement agent here, if anybody has any questions regarding it. Greg, you just took a course on the update, I guess?
I did.
Okay.
I also brought along some handouts for frequently asked questions.
Okay.
We got a couple out to the audience.
Okay.
These are the same ones that definitely share a couple of these.
If anybody needs them, we have them here, so you just leave them on. That's fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
You can leave them on. There's a
You leave
table
them-
out there.
Is there a table there? Yeah. Good. All right, Crystal, you're up.
So, there we go. I'm a little short. So what I think is really good about this code is that it's going to increase people's comfort in their homes. It will reduce environmental impact, reduce operational expenses, and it's easier to do it the first time around. As someone who's like having to go through the process, my house is like 34 years, I now have to go through all of these energy audits, finding people to weatherize my house. It's a whole process. I wish it was just done for me, like in the beginning. So I think this is a good thing for homeowners and businesses, because you can expect to pay back within 6 to 8 years. And this is also sort of like a preview of what the code is going to be in the very short future. So we're just going to be a bit of an early adopter. And, I think it's just a good thing. It's like a win-win-win for the environment, for people, and, for better buildings. So
You and I met with Greg, and Jason, you also met with them as well. And Greg's explanation of it, it's really a design change. It's really not somebody that builds houses. It's not on us, it's really on the design phase. So when you're designing a new home or an addition to your home, it's when the changes are really going to be made. And my understanding, Greg, and I spoke to you about this, that within the next 2 or 3 years, the entire state will be up to New York State.
This is going to be in our next code cycle, probably 2 to 3 years from now.
Okay.
It's going to creep up to where we're going to be today.
So once again, we're ahead of the curve.
we're ahead of the curve.
So.
And also, I think the important thing to note is you have to renovate more than 50% of your house to
Correct.
trigger this code. So if you're doing less than 50%, you don't have to.
Right, and I had asked that question. So if you're adding an addition, a small addition to your house, you don't have to upgrade the entire
Exactly,
home.
yeah.
But the addition itself would have to meet code.
Yeah, that's in that question and
Right.
frequently asked questions.
Perfect. So it's really not going to, it shouldn't affect builders or the cost of an addition. And as you have explained, it's a 6-year payback.
It's a 6-year payback. And with the way energy prices are going, it's
probably quicker.
It could be quicker.
$4 a gallon is probably quick.
It's like, it's better to just do it the right way the first time than have to like go back and do it again.
Exactly. Okay, so we'll open it up to actually, anybody on the board have anything? I'm sorry. Anybody? Questions?
No, thank you.
This is great, though. Good.
So we'll open it up to the public. This is our public hearing. Everybody's here for this, I'm sure, correct? Nothing? Oh, okay, oh, Ethan, what, sorry.
I take it I have to. I'm Tara Vamos. Do you need my address too? No? Okay. I'm in favor of this being adopted. I think it's the right move. I think we're in a fairly desperate position as far as climate. This is a low bar, easy ask. And as Crystal said, it'll put homeowners or business owners in a better place because they're going to have buildings that are better built, will have reduced energy costs. So it's just a good move. Yeah.
Appreciate it. Ethan, I think you, yeah.
Hi, my name is Ethan Tim. I'm an architect in Nelsonville. And I just came to speak in favor of this. I do think that, it's good for people to voluntarily do this type of additional work, but I think it does need to be code-driven. Otherwise, you can't get people to do it, and money ends up getting spent in other ways on projects. So I think it's important for the code to be progressive in terms of energy use. So I promote this, and I think even pushing it further at some point could be a good idea. But for now, this is a good start.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yes. Oh.
Hi, my name is Catherine Sarah Thompson. I live in Garrison. Basically, I think what is relevant has already been said, but I'm also here to speak in favor of the stretch code, the approval of the stretch code. I think that we live in very urgent times, and that every measure that can be taken in a timely fashion is important and is our responsibility, all of us. And in any event, that's something that we're going to have to do a couple of years down the line, no matter what. So why not do it when it counts, as early as possible?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I think.
Paul Thompson, New Street. We're not related, even though we're sitting together. I'm here to basically speak in favour. As the previous speakers have already said, this is a win-win situation in terms of, first of all, reducing carbon emissions, and secondly, in terms of saving people money. I mean, as the data proves, the payback periods are pretty short. For about sort of 5 or 6 years, people get the money back. So, yeah, I vote in favour. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yes.
Hi, my name is Heidi Wendell, and I live in Nelsonville, and I'm very supportive of this provision. And thank you so much for taking your time to consider it, and I hope very much it's passed. Thank you.
Just to be clear, this will not apply to the villages. This is for the town of Phillipstown.
Yes,
so,
understood.
right. So they would have to adopt it as well in order to make it law there. So.
Right, but I think it's really helpful for the villages if the town adopts something.
Certainly.
It really helps for the villages too.
Yeah, hopefully.
We like to get out ahead of them.
Yes.
Doesn't always happen, but we try.
Things are a little slow.
I doubt. I doubt. Anybody else? No, we're good. Okay.
I'd just like to say, people are going to build a house no matter what, right? So they're not. I don't think this is going to prevent somebody from coming to Phillipstown here and building a home. As a matter of fact, it's going to be could hopefully entice them because, like you said, it may cost them a little bit more money up front. But as everyone's indicating here, you get your payback with 6 to 8 years, which is pretty good, especially with the price of fuel these days. I mean, heating oil has almost doubled over the last 2 years, and it's probably not going to go down anytime soon. So I think it's a great thing.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I agree with what we've heard from the public. It's a win-win, I think, for people that own homes and for the town and the environment and for the savings that people will realize with the energy costs escalating. So I agree. and happy that, you know, Phillipstown's ahead of the villages here.
I just wanted to say, I wish that this was in place. I live in an old house in Garrison. It leaks energy, and as we all know, it's hard to tear your walls apart to try to insulate them after the fact. So the fact that this is gonna, you know, it's good for the environment. It's gonna save people money, and as most people saw, Central Hudson's electricity rate just tripled last month. So to Crystal's point, it'll probably pay off, you know, shorter. Yeah.
And I think it's gonna help resale value of people's homes, so if they do go to sell them.
Okay, nothing else. Steve, would you like to add anything, or?
No, we want a motion to close the public hearing, a second, and then a vote on it.
Okay, can I get a motion to close the public hearing on the New York Stretch adoption?
So,
Second.
second.
All in favor? Aye. And I vote aye. So Steve, the process going forward,
Prepare a resolution adopting the local law. The resolution will contain a provision referring it to the State Public Service Commission. Because this varies the building code, you have to have the local law approved by them before you can file it with Secretary of State. I'm confident they will approve it. Right. And then you'll file it with Secretary of State, and it'll become part of the town code.
okay. All righty, thank you very much. So we'll rise for the pledge and start the regular meeting. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If everybody could just stay standing for 1 minute, I would just like to note the suffering of the poor souls in the Ukraine currently, and the freedom we take for granted here in the United States. I mean, just the thought of somebody coming in and taking your home or taking your street or taking your neighborhood. This bully is attempting to do this, and I would just like to note that there's terrible suffering going on elsewhere in the world. So. Thank you. Okay. Okay, Tara, where'd my agenda go? This is it. Is this
No,
it?
it's not mine.
Is it over? Oh, there. No, thanks, Tara. There you go. Okay, approval of minutes. Monthly meeting of February 3rd, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Workshop meeting of February 9th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Committee reports. Conservation Board.
The Conservation Board met on February 8th, 2022. It was the notable because it was the first meeting of new Conservation Board member Scott Silver, who's also the director at the Audubon Constitution Marsh, bringing a lot of knowledge and experience to the Conservation Board. And it was the first meeting assumed by the new chair, Andy Goller, who, you know, I think everybody on the Conservation Board feels very lucky that Andy stepped forward. He's been on for a long time. He's very balanced, and I think everybody's very glad that he's taken over, and we're all lucky. Couple numbers of business. A property, the Pierces in Cold Spring. They've been working with the Conservation Board. They're building a new house, and they've moved the house site of the garage and the septic field to take it outside of the wetlands buffer, which is what the Conservation Board was advising. They've given the Conservation Board their mitigation plans, and the board voted to issue them a conditional permit for them to remove some trees to start construction on their project. The Coos property in Garrison, New York, a conditional permit was issued to construct a driveway to their proposed residence. They've also been in front of the Conservation Board a number of times and been working to work with the Conservation Board to build their driveway in a way that protects wetlands. And then the final one was Surprise Lake Camp is starting a tree replanting restoration plan, and so they have worked with the Conservation Board to move ahead and do that so they can have their regular summer camp programming this year. I think everybody felt like kids really need to be able to, you know, get outside and have those recreational opportunities this summer. And so the Conservation Board issued them a conditional permit to start that work restoring. So that was it. The next meeting of the Conservation Board is March 8th, next Tuesday at 7:30 p.m.
Thank you. Yes. Recreation.
Good evening. The Recreation Commission met on February 22nd. There are some important developments. At the rec center, masks are no longer required. Certainly, if people and families feel that their children should wear masks, they're allowed to wear them, of course, but they're not required, as they have been for a very long time. So we're delighted. 2 years, yes. The second exciting development is summer camp is open up for registration on March 7th, and the information, will be available on March 7th. Registration opens up March 21st for residents and March 28th for non-residents. And finally, the Phillipstown Recreation Department is recruiting for camp counselors, so anyone interested, the deadline to apply is tomorrow. Please go to the Phillipstown, New York, myrec.com website, and you can find an application for summer camp counselors and counselors in training.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The Phillipstown Hub, that's you too, Junior.
Yes, it is. And I would like to read a letter from Danielle Pack McCarthy, who has been the executive director of the hub, Phillipstown Hub, since its beginning. This is directly from Danielle. Back in 2014, I attended my first Phillipstown Communities That Care Coalition meeting, which was initially a group of concerned local families who had lost loved ones to overdose or were trying to prevent more overdose deaths from happening in our community. 8 years later, I sit and write to you from 5 Stone Street in Cold Spring, the home of the Phillipstown Behavioral Health Hub. That initial grassroots movement led to the town of Phillipstown hiring me as its first ever addiction resource coordinator. And shortly after that, in 2018, I brought together a group of movers and shakers who would become the founding board of directors for the Phillipstown Behavioral Health Hub. In 2019, local not-for-profit organization Phillipstown Behavioral Health Hub was born. This organization and this work grew from the ground up, and this is why our residents have come to trust and turn to us for support for themselves and their loved ones. Nearly 8 years later from that first coalition meeting, I write to share that I will be stepping down from my position as Phillipstown Hub's executive director. My mission from day one was to establish the hub to serve as a local resource for Phillipstown's residents and to get it up and running in order to hand over to evolve beyond my vision. Every decision I have made, hand in hand with our board of directors, has been about creating a lasting model of care for our community. Since we opened doors in 2019, I've worked to hire an empathetic and caring staff that works tirelessly every day to deliver on the hub's mission and values. The important work, on-site support and assistance, navigating resources for addiction and mental health needs will not change. I am confident that the Hub is a sustainable organization and it's ready for someone new to energize the organization to its next phase. Over the next few months, Phillipstown Hub's Board of Directors will be conducting a thorough search to find the Hub's next executive director. It is our priority to find a versatile, strong leader who can manage the complex mental health and addiction challenges of our community with an educated, thoughtful, and community-focused approach. This will be a longer transition with the hopes of posting this job description and allowing sufficient time to identify a qualified candidate, as well as time for me to work side by side with this person during onboarding and training. We hope to have someone new in place by late spring, and I will stay on until my replacement is found. Finally, I have loved my time in this position as well as during the development and establishment of the hub. My goal has always been to establish a community-based organization for the residents of Phillipstown that long outlasts my tenure here, and the timing is right now for me to move on. I am grateful for all the community support that this organization has received, and I know that this community will continue to support the hub's mission. I will continue to keep you posted as we move through the process. In the meantime, myself and hub staff will continue to provide the high-quality level of care that we always have. In health and hope, Daniel Pack McCarthy.
You can't say enough about Danielle. She's a personal friend of mine, her and Dave. This whole thing started with Legislator Montgomery, and Danielle was selected to be the hub director. And I don't think it would be in the position it is currently without Danielle at the wheel. I mean, she, was a part-time position, but we all know Danielle probably worked more than most full-time people do with a part-time salary. So, and I spoke with her, I'm confident that she will, or they will find somebody of equal quality. I don't know if they're gonna find somebody of equal quality and dedication as Danielle. It's hard to find. She's a unique individual, and we are so fortunate to have had her as long as we have, and she's assured us that she'll stay there as long as it's needed to get somebody up to speed. So again, I can't thank Danielle enough myself. The community, we all know somebody that Danielle has spoke with or touched or helped. So thank you, Danielle, you're one of a kind. So
Yes, thank you.
it's unfortunate, but she needs to move.
Sorry to lose you, Ben. She's not replaceable, you're right, John.
No, she's one of a kind, so, without a doubt. Okay, planning board.
Okay, planning board, I got attended the planning board meeting February 17th. Correspondence, they were referenced to the law we just talked about, just, for their edification that they knew what was coming. Also, they wanted to let everybody know, this isn't the first time that they said this. The planning board just wants to go on record with their concerns about the new developments along Route 9 and increase of traffic, most likely more and more truck traffic. But public is concerned that the Route 9 will become a 4-lane highway. Several years ago, the town board, way before I was on the town board, took the setbacks from 100 feet and moved them down to less than 50 feet to help prevent of Route 9 becoming a 4-lane highway. I just want to make sure, if the state came in here and decided they needed a 4-lane highway, the chances of them doing it are pretty good. So we probably could pass some laws or some codes and so forth to prevent that. But I'm just want to the planning board just wanted to let us know that they do have concerns with all the new development going on and so forth like that. But again, you can't prevent people who own property on Route 9, prevent them from doing what they need to do, what they want to do, but providing it's in the code and so forth like that. So, okay, under old business, Sadler and Lewinsky, 825 Route 9, Garrison. Unfortunately, they were supposed to have their site visit. It got canceled twice, unfortunately, due to weather. So we're going to try it again this Sunday. So hopefully we can get through the rain. The last 2 times was snow and ice. So hopefully he'll get his site visit in. And also they're going to put him on for the public hearing for March 17th as well. So they're trying to I'm trying to get him back up to speed to where he really needs to be since he's like 2 months behind schedule already. Other things on the agenda were Cedar Hill Landscaping, 18 East Mountain Road. Discussed this last month. They're looking to buy a piece of property up there, which is a commercial piece of property off of East Mountain Road North. They want to put a 48 by 80 storage garage barn in and some bins for, bins for landscape material, mulch and so forth like that. They did have a site visit on February 6th, which I did attend, and they'll be on a public hearing on March 17th, our next meeting, which is St. Patrick's Day. Okay. Yeah, I know, right?
Notice that.
We did have 2 public hearings again this past month. Zolak, Crest Road up in Cold Spring, up on East Mountain Road up north there. A couple months ago, they had some concerns about a very long driveway they need to get in, but they looked at some alternatives, but unfortunately, there was really no alternatives. The only way to get in would be to try to get through some other people's property, and they approach those people, and they're not willing to let that go in. Anyway, They had a public hearing, and there was only one citizen spoke in favor of the project, so they're going to move forward with that, and probably next month they will give them all the approvals that they need. They also did ask the planning board if they get a approval to start cutting down trees because of the bat situation. It has to be done before the end of April. So anyway, they're giving that permit. They're going to move forward with giving them that permit. Other public hearing was the Garrison Golf Course and Shakespeare Festival. As everyone knows, we most likely we're going to give them a 1-year special use permit, right?
Still waiting on a couple items.
But that's in the
Planning application.
but it's in the process of doing that. I just want people need to understand that this applicant isn't about if you like Shakespeare or not Shakespeare. It really has nothing to do with actually the Shakespeare Theater itself. It has to do with what's going to happen on the grounds of the property. There's a lot of concerns with this, so people need to understand that it could be negative, if there's negative impacts, what are the plans to mitigate those negative impacts of the property? So we had a public hearing again, and this past month, it was about 50-50 about the people for and against the project itself. So the public hearing will remain open till next month, March 17th, because there was quite a few people who did not get to talk. So they'll get their opportunity. Just so everyone knows, we had over 6 hours of public hearings to date so far. So the time this is all said and done, we're probably close to 9 hours of public hearing. So people in the public you're being heard, okay? The meeting was adjourned at 10:30. The next meeting will be March 17th.
Okay. Zoning, that's you, man.
I don't have my mic, so
Your
I guess I'm gonna have to share.
Your debut.
This is like the end over here. Oh, now I got two, great. All right, for zoning, I did my first meeting with them. They had an application that was complete enough for them. So, this applicant has to come back on March 14th with 4 variances and present it to the committee, and then they're confident that they'll be able to go ahead and push this through. And the next meeting is in person, so if you're really into zoning, make sure you're here on March.
Bob runs an exciting meeting.
He does, he sure does.
He makes it fun.
So the next meeting, it's live, it's on March 14th, but we only had one applicant for that meeting that we had in February.
And I owe you an apology. I was supposed to go with you, but I was stuck at a
I
basketball
was able to
game.
figure it out, you know? I think I'm savvy enough to figure that out.
I didn't even
so.
have phone service in Putnam Valley, so I was really tied up.
Well, it was a short meeting. Like I said, there was only one applicant, and it was, in and out, so.
And I knew you were in good hands with Bob D there.
Yeah,
so.
so.
Thank you, man.
I'm keeping my mics, by the way.
Highway.
Highway, work performed for the Town of Phillipstown Highway Department for the month of February. Crews spent majority of the month dealing with snow and ice storms, in between the storms, and also filling up potholes and so forth on all the dirt roads. Also, on the dirt roads, people gotta understand, in the dirt roads in the wintertime, there's no crown on the dirt roads in the wintertime, so you do have a lot of potholes and water, because there's, the road's flat. During the springtime and so forth like that, you put a crown on the road so the water goes to the sides. So just make sure everywhere, the dirt roads are very tough to maintain in the wintertime, thawing, freezing, and so forth like that. After working closely with FEMA since September of 2020, the town received $48,453.10. The highway's new John Deere four-wheel drive loader will be delivered and paid for out of the lease line. This will enable multiple crews to have a loader available to various jobs at the same time. Updates to the new fueling system. The new fueling installation of the system by American Petroleum IT is close to the finish line. Billy Allen officially retired from the Highway Department after 32 years. I'd like to wish Billy and his family best of luck and thank him for his 32 years of service. Billy was a longtime resident of Phillipstown, and I wish him and a happy retirement. But I don't think he's going to be retiring. I think he'll be doing something else. Anyway, thanks, Billy, for all your support over these 32 years.
Dependable service.
Yes,
Billy
he was
Allen.
always
Thank
there.
you.
Yeah.
And we have a new person that joined the Highway Department, Michael Lissakatis, who's a local member here of North Highlands Fire Department. He lives in North Highlands, been a lifelong resident well, so it's nice to see to get a person in our community to take on this position.
Several generations.
Yep. And he does have a CDL. He has a CDL right from the get-go, which is good. Okay? Unfortunately, there are really no updates to the highway garage. You know, as we've been talking over the last several months, everything's delayed due to steel and so forth like that. April's coming around, so we're supposed to be seeing something sometime April. But I'm not gonna hold my breath until we actually see the truck deliver everything that's supposed to be there, okay? The highway department received 25 phone calls and emails, and they spent about $13,000 on vehicle maintenance. Monthly account submitted by Carl Frazenda, Highway Superintendent.
Thank you, Bob. In building and land acquisitions, I will comment about the highway garage. I did have a meeting with Tom Chesser, is our project manager, and Carl Frazenda about, there's a crane that goes inside that they wanted mounted to the steel that would assist them lifting. It was a 3-ton crane. There's been so much confusion about this crane since day one and how it changes the design of the building, and so we finally have just eliminated it, and they're going to do some sort of portable crane that could lift something either beyond a truck or mounted. It'll end up saving us money, and it was possibly going to delay the final drawings and steel delivery, so I said let's just eliminate it and we'll do something mobile. So that's the only change that I've been aware of. But the last I heard was the end of May for a steel delivery, final steel delivery, but it could be updated to April.
Right.
So
I said, that's
we'll
what
keep
I
our
said.
fingers
I said late
crossed, but
April, so we'll
like
see.
Bob said, don't hold your breath. But okay, cemetery committee.
Oh, that's me. Cemetery. So I spoke with the gentleman, Mr. Lakes, and once the ground is softened a little bit more, he looks to continue his repairs, and he's doing great. I mean, he's excited, so once the spring comes, he's excited. I don't think anybody bothers him. He's in, so no new news on that aspect, so.
Okay, thank you. Putnam County Legislator, I know Legislator Montgomery was unavailable to attend this evening, but we'll make her give like 2 months worth next month. So. Okay, going on to the agenda, but we're going to change the agenda up a little bit. We've had an ongoing discussion about the senior outreach worker salary. This started in November of last year. There's been some back and forth about funding a position. We apparently funded 50% of a salary, which was $15,000, our portion. So we paid it for 2 years, and the individual hadn't been replaced. So we were looking for an explanation from Putnam County as to where the money was going. We requested a meeting. I did meet with Michael Cunningham last week with Mary Ellen Odell, and you're Director of Senior Resources, correct? There you go. So I was very comfortable with the explanation that Mr. Cunningham gave to me at the county executive's office. So I asked him to come this evening just to explain it to everybody else as to how the money has been distributed. So, Mr. Cunningham, if you could get up and just explain to them the way you explained it to me. So, thank you.
Well, thank you for this opportunity to, is it on? Yeah, so thank you for this opportunity to come before you tonight, to give maybe a little background as to, you know, what we, not only about this position, but how it fits into our overall services. You know, in Putnam County, we have the largest aging population in New York State, and also the fastest growing aging population in New York State. And we know that this is only going to, you know, it's going to become more significant in the coming years as the baby boomer generation, you know, falls into the category of the senior aging. And we define aging as being 60 and over. That's part of the Older Americans Act. And but fortunately, most people in their 60s, you know, don't really want to see or need or hear about us. And you know, and what we're really targeting are the older segment of the senior population, and most importantly, those that are going to be more frail, needy, have transportation issues, or are homebound, and need social, engagement. You know, one of the things that we learned during the pandemic is that isolation. Well, we always knew that isolation is bad for your health, but it really hit home during these past 2 years. And we were closed. We shut down our senior centers for 14 months and 11 days. And that was a very difficult period. And it had a big impact because, the vacancy that we're talking about really began right around the beginning of the pandemic. And the incumbent at Cleary at the time, had serious health issues and succumbed, at the beginning of the COVID pandemic. And it's been difficult to replace that. And that recruitment, I know various parts of the economy and businesses and government have been, it's been very difficult to recruit people. It was difficult to, one of the things that we spend a lot of time on is working with seniors in their homes. Seniors were not really looking to accommodate people coming into their homes. Staff and personnel, everyone was wanting to keep social distance. So it was a very difficult period. And, we did try to fill the position. And in fact, we interviewed a number of candidates. We've offered a number of candidates the position, some from within Phillipstown, some from without Phillipstown. But it was not something that, we've been able to do. We're getting close, but we're not there yet. But that being said, even though there would have been a vacancy, there was really no disruption of services, not only to the seniors here in Phillipstown, but throughout the county. We had, at the time, so much. One of the biggest things that occurred during this pandemic period and during the vacancy was the fears and concerns that seniors had regarding COVID. And so we were spending so much time on the phone. We pulled people out of their normal, routines and job functions just to be able to accommodate the questions that people were having regarding COVID. And then once the vaccines became available, well then, for lack of a better term, all hell broke loose because we were getting swamped with calls from not only seniors, but their caregivers, family members, neighbors, wanting to watching out for elderly, folks in their community. And it was an incredible experience. People that we never had been in touch with before were now looking to, kind of discovered, the services that we had available. So there was, if there's one upside to the pandemic, is that more seniors, as they were looking for information about COVID and or the pandemic, they were reaching out to us for and learning about other things that we do. So there was really, even though we did not have this position filled, there was certainly no shortage of responsiveness to any of the seniors, and in particular seniors in the town of Phillipstown. I know for myself, were manning phones and arranged a number of appointments for seniors living in the town of Phillipstown, for vaccines. I know you had a great resource here in town with the pharmacy doing vaccines, but there was also other clinics that we were having at other parts of the county that we were arranging for vaccine, because it was a limited number. In the beginning, the pharmacies were getting maybe 100 a week, 200 a week, and so the demand was much greater than that. And Putnam County, the health department was not able to target, one of the things they would have liked to have done was target seniors for the vaccines, but not able to do that. Their mandate from the New York State Department of Health was to target first responders, teachers, and the like. So what we were looking to do, and spending time working with other pharmacies to set up clinics for seniors. So that was tremendous effort on the part of all of our staff, and it was all hands on deck. People working out of their normal job titles because we were closed in terms of the programs. The centers themselves were closed. But even though we closed on a Friday, and on Monday we started doing home delivered meal, people that were coming to our sites were now getting home delivered meals on top of those that were already, receiving that. the volume was so huge. We also then started doing grab and go, where we would have the people come to the centers to pick up the meal, especially those who were mobile. We didn't, we use our drivers, our transportation drivers to do home delivered meals, and there was just so much that they can do because we want to maintain temperature for during the course of their delivery period, and as those who were able to drive, we said, please come in, pick them up, and we'll. And the plus for that too is they were getting out of the house every day. They were meeting with our staff, making contact, and sometimes the lines were backing up because people were doing a lot of chatting and checking in. But it was very valuable experience. And the other thing that we did too was we increased our remote programming. That was everyone started learning how to do that, doing virtual. You were certainly doing that here with remote town board meetings, and staff who might in the past have been working, with hands-on, work with seniors in our adult day programs. We're now leading virtual classes. We bingo on the phone. We had book clubs, we had coffee and conversation we were doing 50 classes a week to reach out to people. And so even though we did not have this position being filled, it was, we were responding to the needs of all the seniors and to those here in Phillipstown. One of the things that has been most difficult in terms of the services that are needed by seniors is home health aides. And that's just been a big gap. And we were starting a new program, just before the pandemic that really got put on hold because seniors didn't want people coming into their houses. It was difficult recruiting staff, home health aides, if they had families. Their kids were out of school, they had to stop working to stay home. And we've been able to rejuvenate that program. And we have, caseworkers that would be normally, the work that would be normally done by this position, the outreach worker position is now being done by one of our case managers. And she's been working with going into homes now, families and the seniors are more willing and ready and comfortable letting people come into their homes. And so we've been doing our intakes and scheduling home health aid services for people. So, we've had this gap, but we really haven't skipped a beat in terms of trying to deliver and meeting the needs of all the citizens.
I appreciate all of the work that you're doing. I know how hard seniors were hit. In my day job, I work with the elderly population as well, the aging population, and the pandemic was devastating, so we appreciate that support. I was just wondering, because I did hear from some people that were considering the position who were living in Phillipstown, is it full-time? Because I know we put $15,000 into the budget for it, but I heard that it's $30,000 for a full-time position. Is that accurate, or?
Well, it is a full-time position. The salary range is, in the 30s.
That's pretty low for a full-time.
What we found, because we do, we have other positions that in our other towns that do that perform that, and the incumbents have tended to be long term. It's a good job. It's got convenient hours. Ideally, if it's in the community, it's a convenient job. It is civil service, so there's a lot of stability and benefits that go along with that. So it is on the low range of wages, but once we fill, we've had very little turnover in the positions as we filled them over the years. And that being said, we had in addition to the loss of the position of the incumbent here, we did have another person retire, and we're filling that position. But we're also going to split it between, on the interim between, the other side of the county and here. And so that we're hoping that person is going to start in a couple of weeks, and that part of their learning will be working here in the town of Phillipstown.
So is this position still open?
It is still open,
right?
It is still open.
So what's our next steps? then.
Well, the plan is you have somebody in mind.
Well, that was gonna put it with somebody else though, right? You're still looking.
Yeah, we still want to fill,
Yes.
still want to fill it with full-time. So, when you, and part of the question becomes, well, number one, it's, you use the term 50%, as covering 50% of the salary, but it's not just the salary. There's benefits, there's we have office space, we have, vehicle dedicated to the position. So it's not a 50% of the cost. It may have been at the time, because when it was first set up, and it could have been, one of the issues too is it a position or is it a service? And the way the contract was, it was developed at the time for, I wasn't around then, so I don't know what was the rationale for wording it that way. But it really should be, I would encourage you to be looking at it in terms of the service. The service to our seniors is critical. It has not diminished despite the fact that we have had this vacancy. We've been able to redeploy people, from other functions to continue to, meet the need, and it would hurt to lose $15,000 in terms of the revenue and the support for the seniors in your town and in the county. But we'll continue to provide the service whether we have an incumbent or not.
The key to me was, and you had said this to me, that no request was.
We have no waiting lists.
Right,
for
everything was
services.
covered. Every request was covered, whether it's a salary or a service. That the people that are looking for services are getting the service they need. I haven't had any complaints from the seniors here that they've called and not gotten this.
No, I think I want to, Mike, thank you for coming down here and sharing information, because you've been sharing information over the past year, and it's really useful and collaborative. So thank you for coming down. I just had one question, which was, I think as you stated, we all know from going through COVID that the elderly population was really the most hard hit by the pandemic and social isolation. And it sounds like, you were able to provide that coverage even though this position was unfilled. But we have heard from a lot of senior groups that, this is really the only position in the town that is a person responsible for doing the outreach to find seniors that need services that don't have them now. And so, it does make a big difference to have that person you can call, that, when you hear that someone needs help, that you can refer them to a person. And this is, I know it's listed, like Judy says, on the job description is about $31,000 for a full-time position. But it really is, for me personally, I think it's very important not to treat it just as a service that gets kind of put across a number of positions, but to really have a local person here that the seniors know is working to identify the people that aren't being served. And we all know that there are those folks. So, I would really, I guess, encourage the county. It would be great if that full-time position, which is to really help the people that are most vulnerable in our community, could offer a wage that could bring somebody in and attract them to that full-time position, because it's so important. And I hope that we can keep trying to refer folks to you that are interested to get someone in that position, because it's so critical. It's such an important position.
Well, recruiting in the past year plus has been difficult. That's beginning to ease up. And we're seeing, I'll give you a case in point. We're seeing that with the home health aides, for a period. And that's been a national workforce issue, right? But, we've developed a model with good support from New York State, which is, we've been working on designing a model for a great program for it. We kind of fill a niche with the type of home health aid service we provide. It's not for people who need 24 hours, 7-day-a-week type of care. This is more for the type of individual they need a few more hours a week to keep them home as independent as possible And we're seeing, and for a while, we were just giving, almost giving up on being able to resurrect this program that we were trying to implement before COVID. But all of a sudden, it's like gangbusters. It's been working really well. We got 37 clients on the service now, whereas we were at 2, prior to COVID, just a few months ago. So we just recruited another person for the other vacancy that we had due to a retirement, and I think it's just a matter of we keep plugging away. So, and I agree. I'd like you to view it as a service, but we really do want to have a body here. We have the position. I don't want to give it up, right? I don't want to have it absorbed into put the position away. We work hard for developing every head count that we have on our payroll, and certainly don't want to give that up. And we're looking to fill that position.
Is that the same? Is it the same? There's an outreach worker at every friendship center in the county. Is it the same pay scale across all outreach workers? It is, yeah. Thank you.
And just to be, so there were maybe two things that got a little, that I think there was some confusion, because I think you had posted the position on your website here as being local. The title is Aging Services Aide, which is different than a title of outreach worker. But it is, but in the job function, we have different types of aging services aide, and this one is focused on doing outreach type of work. But in terms of what outreach really, it's a lot of one-on-one with seniors and getting them, through the process of applying for various services, whether it be Medicaid, whether it be HEAP for heating, whether it be legal services, things like that. So there's a lot of one-on-one, very critical work, and you need a person to do that. But we do have talented people. We have we do have a case manager who is stationed, 50-50 here and just so you know, in terms of the range of services, we have a caseworker that works in our center here in Phillipstown, and she's split with Putnam Valley. She happens to be local from the town here, so is very familiar and has been able to kind of really put in some extra focus to make sure that nobody was slipping through the cracks.
Well, if you could get the listing again to our clerk, we'll post it again, and hopefully, like you said, people seem to be coming out of hibernation and getting back to work.
Some of the benefits to remain home have disappeared,
which are dwindling at this point, but. We could list it again for you, and I'm confident that we could fill the position. I'm also confident that the people were getting services that were needed, so.
So what about the $15,000? When it was in our budget,
It's budgeted, and I'm in favor of authorizing it to go to the county. And for the next calendar year, if it makes a difference, we could probably support a little more towards the 50% if that could make a difference for somebody's salary, as long as we're going to match. Yeah. But that would be, for 2023. So, but I appreciate you coming over. And does anybody have any additional questions or comments? Anybody from the audience?
Thank you.
Just curious, the people who have these positions today, aren't they probably they're most likely senior citizen today, right? Some of them are no. Like Ed Cleary was, he was,
And the gentleman who retired, now his replacement, as a matter of fact, is not. And but is ex-military, worked 20 some odd years in she's Air Force, and then also worked for MasterCard, but has been volunteering, doing a lot of volunteering work with the VA hospital just north of us, which is Castle Point, and it is a phenomenal find, and has done a lot of good community work. So you never know, but it just fits, and I see, this will be, I think it'll be great for her to be able to, spend time here as part of the learning curve and getting her, getting into and helping fill the gap, and then also as we recruit, the permanent position to help with the training and transition. So,
thank you so much.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. Sure, I'm sorry.
So I'm just curious, does the county actually employ the home health agent?
I'm sorry?
Does the county actually employ
No, we
through an agency, right?
use the agencies, yeah.
Do you know how much those home health aides are paid?
They are, that's been the issue for the workforce crisis. Many of them are getting like $12 or $10 an hour. What we've been working on a program that I mentioned where we're getting some additional funding to raise that rate to something that is much more competitive and compelling. And I'll tell you, if you give me another minute, we've been fighting on this issue, not fighting, advocating on this issue for quite some time. And before COVID, there was a hearing in New York City where, I was presenting on this model that we were developing. And someone in the audience had started off, one of the earliest comments was that there was a position that was being advertised in the newspapers for an animal caretaker at the Bronx Zoo that was being paid more than what human caretakers were being offered, in the health services industry. So that was, that just made our argument for our model that we were working on, which would have which is elevating the salaries to be that much more compelling. And there's been a lot of push in New York State since that hearing to work on improving the wages, because it's a growing crisis, and it's only going to get worse as we have an aging population. That's with the next generation of seniors coming on board, who are going to be much more demanding, much more difficult, and that generation before us was didn't want help, didn't really look for it, and really were not wanting. Whereas we're much more demanding now and have a lot of different expectations. So it's going to be a lot tougher going forward. So I don't let that.
Well, I just wanted to make one more comment, which is that my understanding from working in the healthcare field for much of my life is that you have to be very careful to make sure that the home health agency doesn't recover the bulk of the money that goes to pay for the services, that the actual home health aide is paid a wage.
There's an amount that's paid to the agency, and then there's a salary.
The agency work.
Right. So there's, we got to make sure that, and that's one of the things we've been looking when we said we wanted to raise the rate for the aides. We wanted to make sure, and we'll pay the agencies more. We want to make sure that incremental amount goes to the aides, but there is value added that the agencies provide as opposed to us hiring aides ourselves, because the aides need certain kinds of training. They need, nursing supervision. There's also the value of the recruitment, and if you have someone on vacation, you need to have another aide, and so they provide that value-added service. So that's one of the reasons why we've been working using the agencies as part of our model. Another county upstate is they're trying it another way. They're going to hire their own aides, and we're going to kind of compare notes, and we're kind of monitoring how successful the programs are. But there is there's arguments to be made both ways, but there is some value added that the agencies do provide. Okay, does that answer?
Well, yes, but I would just note that generally the executives of the agencies make
That's
very, very large salaries, and the aides are paid almost minimum wage or.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're working on, trying to come up with a better model.
And they work 12-hour days.
Yep.
Often.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, and we'll move on to the agenda. Thank you, Ms. Klein. Take care.
Next on the agenda is a resolution authorizing Supervisor Van Tassel to sign the filming permit for Picrow Streaming for filming scheduled for February 28th, 2022 at 15 Peacock Way and 1611 Route 9 in Garrison, and this is Nunc Pro Tunc.
Okay.
We missed this one, huh?
A lot of movies getting filmed in Phillipstown, which is great, so appreciate it. So can I get a motion on the resolution, please?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
Next is a resolution approving the Garrison Volunteer Ambulance Corps 2021 Ambulance Company Posting Certification for the Length of Service Award Program.
Okay, I looked through it. It seems like we're getting more people volunteering, and I'm wondering if it's because they were all home because of COVID. But it seems like there's quite a few that met the points this year, so this will be posted. That's a normal procedure every year with both agencies. So can I get a motion on the resolution for the Garrison LoSAP program?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And I vote aye.
Next is a resolution accepting the resignation of Highway Superintendent Carl Forsenda effective March 31st, 2022.
Okay, I am going to read this. Supervisor Van Tassel and the Town of Phillipstown Town Board. It is with extreme regret that I am informing you of my decision to resign as the Highway Superintendent for the Town of Phillipstown. My last official day will be March 31st, 2022. I have enjoyed my work as Highway Superintendent for the past 6 years, and I had all intentions of completing my current term. However, due to my recent health issues and concerns, I have consulted with my doctors and family and believe it will be in my best interest of my health to tender my resignation. Until my resignation date, I will work to make the transition as smooth as possible for the department and the town. I will ensure that the Town of Phillipstown Highway Department Deputy Adam Hotelling is aware of all current matters, concerns, and work orders for the department. I am more than willing to meet with you to further discuss my resignation. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me at your convenience. Thank you for your time and a prompt attention to this matter. This is not a good thing for the Town of Phillipstown. Carl has been an amazing cooperative leader of the Town Highway Department for, this is his fifth year?
Sixth.
No, I think he's got one. I think it's his fifth or sixth, whatever. But he has given time and effort, expertise, care to this job. We, as a town board, have had a luxury of working with him for the past 5 or 6 years. The cooperation is unbelievable. If we need something at the rec department, Carl's on it. If we need something here, anywhere, Carl's on it. Call Carl, it's taken care of. I have full confidence in Adam as being just as cooperative. Adam is completely capable. He is currently the Deputy Highway Superintendent. He's currently doing the job. Carl is assisting. He's more than capable of handling the responsibilities that come with the Highway Superintendent. He does not want the appointment to the position. He is going to stay as the deputy. He has the support of the crew, so it's going to remain that way for a while until we go through some options to either filling the position or putting it to a vote. But we'll be discussing that and then putting out some sort of notice as to what's going to happen. But Carl's health obviously is more important than the job, and Adam will certainly take care of it. But I regretfully had to read that letter, and I wish I didn't have to. But best wishes to Carl and his family, and he deserves a wonderful retirement. So on the resolution, can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
I regrettably accept this resignation. Me and Carl started at the same time, so this was the start of his sixth year. It was the start of January 1st, when we campaigned together our first time out there. But anyway, so I wish Carl the best. He had some health issues, and unfortunately, he did really want to serve out these last 2 years, but unfortunately, it's not in his best interest to do so. And we just wish him and his family the best. And it was, like you said, a pleasure to work with as well.
His term would have ended 2023, the end of 2023.
Correct, that's right.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
It's a pleasure to work with and easily accessible, as John said. And no one had a complaint about him in the town. All we heard was, I spoke to Carl Forsenda, and things got done. That's what we've heard from many residents.
And the crew, I mean, if you go up there and pull the guys, they're happy.
Yes.
They're a well-oiled machine up there right now, and it's got a lot to do with Carl's managerial skills and his demeanor and his approach to people and to things. So credits to Carl. But like I said, I don't think there'll be any drop in service with Adam, because he is a very capable gentleman. also respected by the guys, and I shouldn't say that, as by the crews. So I'm sure we'll keep right on going, so.
Yeah, no, I agree. Adam will fill in nicely. He's, he knows what's going on up there, believe me.
Okay, next up.
Next is a resolution reappointing the following to the planning board, and that is Neil Zuckerman.
I did speak with Neil yesterday. Actually, I had a little text exchange with him. He definitely wants to stay on, and he's also willing to be the chairman. I spoke with him at the beginning of the year about that, so happy to have Neil at the helm of the planning board. If you ever want to see a resume, take a look at Neil's resume. It's quite impressive. He's got quite an education, quite a background, and he is a luxury to have working for the town of Phillipstown, so much appreciated. So can I get a motion on the resolution, please?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
I'm just curious, I thought it was a 5-year term, but it says 4, is that right, 4?
What are you looking at?
Right here,
Yeah,
it says-
no, it's 4.
It's a 4, okay.
It's 4 for them, it's 5 for ZBA, and
Oh, is that what it is?
it's 2
Okay.
for
All
Conservation
right.
Board. I
Thanks,
don't-
okay,
Yeah.
just curious.
I actually had to look it up myself.
All right.
Next is a resolution reappointing the following to the Zoning Board of Appeals, and that's Robert D.
Another incredible individual, runs a great meeting, keeps it interesting, also an interesting background. So I did speak with Bob about doing another term, and he's happy to stay on and also stay on as chairman. So a resolution on, a motion on the resolution appointing Bob D. back to the zoning board. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
Next is a resolution reappointing the following to the Conservation Board. Crystal Ford, Robert Repetto, Scott Silver, and Andy Galler. I know we just appointed Scott Silver, but he only is in until the end of Mark's term, which happened to end today, so we do have to reappoint him.
So again, anytime we look for people to fill these board positions in the town of Phillipstown, we get very qualified individuals. Crystal was here this evening. Bob Repetto has been on for a long time. Scott is new to the group, but brings a wealth of knowledge to the board. And Andy has been on as long as I've been on the town board, which is 12 years now. He's been on there and served diligently. They all do want this term, and I did speak with Andy about being the chairman, and he is willing to take the chair. He's not looking to hold it long, though, he said. So he's looking to start training somebody from within the group to take over as the chairman. But I appreciate him stepping up and doing that until he can finagle somebody into taking over as the chair. So
He doesn't want the 15-year life appointment.
he doesn't want the sentence, the life sentence. So can I get a resolution? We'll do one for both. How's that, Tara? Can we do it?
Well, I have them already set up.
All right,
as
so we'll
separate
get a motion on
resolutions,
appointing the
so-
4 of them back to the planning board. Crystal Ford, Robert Repetto, Scott Silver, and Andy Galler. Can I get a motion on the resolution?
Conservation Board, just.
Conservation, sorry, yes.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor? Aye. And I vote aye. And then we've already go
Next is
ahead.
a resolution appointing Andy Galler as chair of the Conservation Board.
Let's get a motion on that one.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor? Aye. And I vote aye.
Next is to schedule any workshop meetings. We have a regular monthly meeting on April 7th, and then we have a request from MJ Martin, who's the Director of Development and Community Engagement for the Hudson Highlands Fjord Trail, requesting a workshop for March 23rd. Just so that they can share some information. I mean, I don't know.
So MJ, I met with you, and I'm sorry if I don't remember the other. There you go. So you explained some exciting developments in the Fjords Trail, and I think it would be great if we could get that information out to the public, and if you guys can make a presentation that evening, that would be fantastic. So you're on for that night. So, all
And
right.
that'll be at 7:30
7:30.
here
That-
at the town hall.
Live.
Yep.
No, let's do it live. We're beyond that. Okay. I'm
It's
sorry.
a Wednesday, March 23rd.
Wednesday. Good? Does that work? All right. Sounds good. Anything else you wanted to add to that?
No, I'll add it on the 23rd when everybody's here.
Perfect. It's exciting. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the Code Enforcement Monthly Report, and this is for February 2022. Total fees collected, $13,454.25. There were 25 total permits issued, 3 additions, alterations, or repairs to residential buildings, 22 all other permits, including pools, sheds, decks, plumbing, and HVAC. There were 19 certificates of occupancy. There were 2 stop work orders issued and 2 inspections of public assembly and 1 inspection of commercial occupancies.
Greg says, think
Greg
spring.
says, think spring.
Think spring. And another cooperative guy, without, speaking of Carl, we got to mention Greg, how much work he does. He came here this evening and probably didn't have to. He's probably going to yell at me tomorrow. I didn't need to be there, but I appreciate him being here. A very cooperative individual in the community. Again, I have had not one complaint about Greg, which is unusual when they're building inspector. So he really works with people and helps them through the code. So he doesn't let the code down, but he gets people to cooperate. So. All right. Anything else, Tara? What else we got?
Anything else that you guys might have?
One thing I'd like to mention, I did meet with the county executive last week to discuss the senior outreach worker, as well as while I was there, I mentioned the ARPA funding. So I had an hour-and-a-half meeting with her. She was very receptive, very cordial, and sincere. And I explained the situation with the Garrison Landing Water District, how it's cost us in excess of $800,000 buying water over the last 4 years. And, you know, in her description, this is a perfect project to partner with us and to utilize ARPA funds, because looking for things that are costing money to the towns, which this is certainly costing us a lot of money. So we're looking to tie into the existing water system at the recreation center, which is 4,500 feet away. Our estimate by our engineer, the town engineer, Ron Gaynor, is about $860,000, which far exceeds our ARPA money, which is at $760, I believe. So I asked for her to partner, the county to partner with us for funding that project, and I left confident that we will see some funds. They were also looking to, she was looking for projects towards improving mental health in the town of Phillipstown. And I did connect them with the hub, and hopefully some of that funding will go towards the hub as well. There's a number of projects Jason's worked on. Would you like to speak on?
No, just to mention that after consulting with John, also put forward a proposal for a food security initiative in Philipstown that I've been working on with Cornell Cooperative Extension and Second Chance Foods, because Putnam County has $19 million in ARPA funding.
Right. I said to her politely, you know, we're 10% of the population. If we got 1.9 million, 10% in the town of Phillipstown, it would be wonderful to distribute between the town and the 2 villages and private sources. Let's see what happens. I'm confident we'll get some assistance. But as I said, she was amazingly, I was there for an hour and a half, had a great discussion, encouraged more communication back and forth. So I left happy thinking that we're going to get something. And I think the letter, we had to submit it by February 28th. I supported it with some backup documentation, the budget, a cover letter. It was in before the 28th, and I believe by the end of March, they're going to make some decisions as to where the funding is going. So hopefully we'll see some of it. But.
Yeah, on that note, just so the Garrison Water District, we did get the approval, we got the permits at least from the Board of Health in Putnam to drill another well across the street in the interim. Because we don't know how long, even if we do get this money, we don't know how long it's going to take to get this project up and going and completed. So we're looking at other options, and we did get the permits today. So I got to get down there with Carl and Adam and figure out, because right now it's very soft in that area. It's very, very muddy to begin with. So to get a vehicle in there to do any type of work would be tough at this particular time. But at least we got the permits, and we will look at doing that hopefully in the very near future.
I fully support that as well.
Yeah, for some reason, we have something strange is going on down at the water district. Over the last 2 weeks, we ran out of water twice. That's the first time we ran out of water in months. As a matter of fact, we have an alarm down there, which I get paged on. So I got a page this morning at 2 o'clock in the morning indicating we're out of water. So there's something down there. We have our team down there trying to figure out if there's a leak or something like that. But, we got this last week, and then all of a sudden it stopped. So if we had a leak, you think it'd be continuous, right? Unless someone's got a hose running down there we can't find, it's taking all our water. But there's something strange going on there right now. We're trying to figure out what it is, but we're in the process.
Okay, and as far as drilling the well across the street, that is a property that's owned by the town of Phillipstown. There are plans at some point to put a field there as well as a building for the Depot Theater. That property was acquired by Claudio Marzolo for that purpose. So if the well goes in and we could later switch over to the rec center, there still will be a well on that piece of property. It also serves the community garden. It could function for them. It could function for the building for the Depot Theater, as well as, if there were a concession for a field there at some point. So, but that's all been approved, though. That's why I'm still supporting that, obviously. And we need a short-term solution. This could be, quick up and running and hooked into.
Within a couple months.
Yeah, within the Garrison landing, so. All right, anybody else?
I did see a proposal from Philipstown Aging at Home. They sent me a proposal. They said they had met with you, the seniors.
Yes, I did speak with Sheila Roush on the phone. I never made a meeting with her, but I spoke with her on the phone, and I explained to her the whole situation about meeting with the county, and if some of the county funds can be put towards the Garrison landing, which would free up money to distribute elsewhere. So it's all kind of pending the county's funding, but she understood that. She said, I understand that's your priority, which it has to be, so, because it's bleeding the town dry. It was poor use of words, but that is exactly what's happening.
And I would just like to acknowledge a senior in our community in Philipstown who is retiring, a longtime resident and business owner, Lenora Burton, who has really done so much for our town in terms of sponsoring and supporting different initiatives, and just welcoming our families and residents to her store, the Country Goose in the Village. And I know the Village had a parade for her, but I just think it's nice to it's sad to see her go, but it's nice just to acknowledge that she was such a wonderful presence for so many years in this community.
On Main Street.
Yes.
Without a doubt. I saw some pictures from the ceremony. I tried to make it. Unfortunately, my kid kept me busy, but I was unable to make it. But it looked like a great celebration that they had for Lenore. She got a key to the village.
She got a key to the village, and I didn't make it either because of a family conflict, but I just want to thank Lenore for all her years here.
Yeah, my wife does a lot of shopping here, so. Also, too, do you know when her last day officially business is there?
Big sale.
Yeah, no, I think, I know. Well, I was just wondering, because, my wife
I think the end
wants
of March, but
sometime
we
in
can check
March,
with her, yeah.
Yeah, she's been here for a long time, and she's a very nice lady. Go in and speak to her. From what I understand, she wants to retire and go back to England to spend some more time with her grandchildren, I believe. So, good luck to her, and we wish her the best.
If you haven't been to the Country Goose, you better get there quick.
Jason?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, so just for Phillipstown to pat itself on the back for a second, just about in 2016, a group of Phillipstown community members started to launch the community choice aggregation, which turned into the Hudson Valley CCA, which you all then, the Phillipstown board, we weren't here yet, we're the second municipality to approve. It was a new idea at the time. But just to mention that CCA, which basically got 8 municipalities together to bargain for all the residents to get greener electricity and cheaper electricity, not only did it move 40,000 people in the Hudson Valley over to 100% renewable electricity, that 10 out of the last 12 months, as I think we all learned from Jewel, the rate of the CCA has been cheaper than Central Hudson's rate. And last month, Central Hudson's rate tripled but the CCA is locked into a stable rate. And so we've had seniors reach out and say that their bills have jumped $100 in the last month. And so the CCA is supposed to save customers in the Hudson Valley $3.5 million in this month alone because of that. So I just, again, it's not only good for the environment, it's saving a lot of Phillipstown residents money, especially those who need that money. So I don't know, I guess that was just a tip of the hat to, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, good things.
Megan?
Excuse me, so my tip of the board meeting today is I'm just going to continue to encourage the community to attend the rec commission meetings. I'm really trying to get focused on getting this multi-use facility for our community, so I was told that it has to start at the rec commission, so if we can just continue to get out there, get to the rec commission, and start pushing for this multi-use facility for the entire community, that would be great. So that's my tip of the board.
I took part in the one that happened in 2010 or 12. I had just gotten on the town board. I was the liaison to the group that ended up producing the Haldane turf field. It was chaired by John Champlin, who
Hopefully, John, if you're paying attention, you can
get him
join.
involved and it'll get done. He took the bull by the horns and really focused. We had both school athletic directors involved. Amber was involved. There was a representative from the village rec commission, the town rec commission. There was some others there as well. We used to meet here for a long time, and they did a study. The study laid out 3 different options. One was that doing the Haldane field, which ended up winning out, but there was another proposal at the town park, which would have been beautiful in my eyes, but and then the third one actually was at Garrison School, the third proposal. The biggest facility was the town park, but the consensus from the group at that point was the most use would have been at Haldane. And that, they fundraised and ended up producing a beautiful field, which I think the life on it was 10 years, so it's probably just about there. But
Well, now that we've grown, like, as a community, Haldane, it's a beautiful field, and now, like I said, like, as we're growing as a community, there's just, we're running out of field space for our community, for our youth, for our seniors to have a place to go as well, so.
I know that the track gets a lot of walking. There's a lot of
Imagine
walking on the
another
track. The town park could be opened up for walking. It's not a track, but it's certainly, there's a trail at the rec center that, there's a 3-mile loop at the rec center that you can utilize. Jason and I ran that.
I was just remembering running behind you for a couple of kilometers.
In the mud, yeah. So I kept you behind me so if I tripped and fell, you could pick me up.
Glassberry's got the trail around the pond up there, and he also had that trail in the woods.
Yeah, there's a 1-mile loop in the woods. There's a half-mile around the pond. So, and there's actually exercise equipment down by the stream in the back, which not too many people know are there anymore. But
My kids call that the Spartan Park.
the bar thing.
The Spartan Park.
Yeah. So, yes, I'm sorry.
Point out that there's tree damage down there on the.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
There's tree damage at that exercise.
That's been there since Hurricane Irene, and getting people and equipment in there to get that out of there is kind of going to be incredible. But yeah, we used to use it a lot. So, but yeah,
Well, I just
enthusiastic.
we have lots of trails. Nobody's like, they haven't found a trail they haven't been able to walk yet. But so the trails are here for our community, which is great. But now we're all, I know that myself and a lot of community members are now looking to push for more field space for our community. Because, back in 2012 or 2010, we've gotten bigger, right? So we're expanding as a community, and we can see it across the board. So I just continue to encourage the community that if we're going to get any headway or any movement where the village can work together with the schools and ourselves and the rec commission, it's important that we start, John suggested, to start at the rec commission, have it come from there, and then we can go ahead and create this
the town of
space that we
has
want.
No lack of property.
Yeah, I can see
We have an
that.
abundance of property. We have 4 athletic fields at the town park. We also have in the rec master plan, there is approved field. There is an approved diamond, a baseball field. There's also.
Is that by the water tower, are you saying?
Yes.
Okay.
There's also, I believe, a multi-use field, but I haven't looked at the rec master plan in a while, but that would be the place to start, at least on our end, to get the community together, which would be, wonderful,
Yeah.
and I'd fully support it. That is the key.
Yeah, so
Because
just,
you don't want a repetition of service again, and that's what we tried to avoid there. We really needed a showcase field, and it ended up at Haldane, and it gets a ton of use,
Yes,
as you know,
absolutely.
but,
But yeah, that's all, that's my little.
okay. Thank you. Okay, audience, anybody? Yes?
I'd love to see the art money spent to solarize some of the.
I can't hear. If you could come up to the microphone, that would be great.
If possible, I would love to see some of the ARP money spent to solarize some of the public buildings in Phillipstown. This subject came up at the last Nelsonville Village meeting. Like Nelsonville's energy costs went up hugely in the past year. I think the current budget is $4,000 for the year for energy costs in Nelsonville. And I think that may justify spending ARP money to solarize buildings in Nelsonville, at any rate. And, I mean, certainly that would be, my understanding is that might be within the confines of the amount of ARP money for Phillipstown, unlike maybe, like the water expenditure might be too large for the ARP money. I know at the Nelsonville meeting, the Nelsonville board talked about possibly spending Nelsonville's ARP money on the sewer situation in Nelsonville, but it just it's not enough money to deal with the sewer problem in Nelsonville. But it could be enough money to solarize the Nelsonville Village Hall. And obviously, with energy costs rising so quickly and also kind of out of control, and also, I think, given what's happening in Ukraine and what we've all realized about the fact that renewables actually, in addition to saving money for a municipality, also lead to, freedom and really important American values, I think. Taking us off dependence on the mercurial energy system. I think this is a great time for lots of reasons for if the ARP money would pay to solarize one of the buildings in Phillipstown, to do that.
The town of Phillipstown, we've been buying green energy since 2010, since before I got on the board, but thanks to Bobby, we have full solar system at the recreation center. And I did meet with Crystal the other day. She's got an opportunity for a $15,000 grant, which we're going to apply towards solar panels on the highway garage.
Oh, excellent,
the new
excellent.
highway garage.
Okay.
Yeah, so
we're on.
down in Phillipstown, our rec center, it's 112 kVA unit, so it powers the whole building.
Oh, excellent. Well, I mean,
Not many people know about it yet. We got it done right. We turned on the power, I think, like end of November, early December. Once weather comes, nice weather, we're gonna have some type of ground or ribbon ceremony down there, hopefully in the springtime. So
Bobby worked hard for a long time to get that on. The best thing about it is you can't even see that system from the parking lot from anywhere,
so maybe some of Phillipstown's money could be spent to solarize buildings in Nelsonville and Cold Spring, et cetera, and elsewhere in the.
There's a whole list of things that we're gonna spend money on.
But I guess my point is, solarizing public buildings, it sounds like you guys are doing an amazing job. I did not realize that.
Ahead of the curve and ahead of Nelsonville again. Ahead of the curve and ahead of Nelsonville. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Trina, you got it? Yes, sir. Sure, please.
Hi, I'm Ryan Swan. I'm a resident here in Phillipstown, my wife and I. We have 3 boys in elementary school. And I was happy to hear what Megan Cotter said about space. I'm also on the Little League board, newly, which I know you used to be president of. So I just wanted to, in terms of space, I think post-COVID, kids have kind of come out in droves, more than we've seen in a long time for baseball and softball. And so this spring we have about 180, maybe 200 kids that are going to be K through 6 that are going to be in
majors, minors, and T-ball? That's
yeah,
great.
so junior minors up to majors. So we're looking at somewhere between 25 and 30 teams that we're going to be fielding, which is great. So despite what you may have heard about baseball being a dying sport, it's actually like alive
It
and well
really
here.
was dying. The last year my younger son played, they couldn't field a team. I mean, we ended up merging with Fishkill because there wasn't enough kids. I mean, everybody's playing lacrosse. Yeah, it was terrible. I hate to see that.
Yeah, no, it's really cool to see a lot of kids who've never played before coming out, and so we're a little tight on space. So I would really encourage the board to look at that if you can, and we'd really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Can you give us your name, please?
I'm Maggie Valentine. I'm a resident in Cold Spring. I'm also the reluctant CYO coordinator, which is our local travel basketball team, which is available to all Phillipstown kids, 3rd grade through, I think it goes up to 8th, but we only do really K through 6. And I just want to give a really big thank you to Amber at the rec, because she has been completely unselfish and very accommodating for allowing practices and games at the rec. Usually we've lost our, for most of the season, we lost our school partner, Garrison, due to COVID and construction. So she really is allowing us to come in there. We have 7 teams, and we have all vying for, more than an hour of practice a week, which is what they get, and games on the weekend. So, I just wanted to thank her for that. And, it's a microcosm of what Ryan was saying earlier. There's just, there's not enough space. I'm also on the Phillipstown Little League board, and we have essentially 2 fields, 1 softball field, almost 200 kids, and we are always fighting for space. And Haldane and Garrison are always really wonderful, being our school partners, but it's not enough space. So if there's any way we can get that conversation going and sort of, get all the stakeholders in talking, that would be great.
Just for maybe a short-term solution, have anybody reached out to Lake Surprise? Because they have a beautiful gymnasium there.
Yep.
And a beautiful baseball.
Yeah, they don't have anyone working there to open the
Oh.
gate. I've been in touch. They've been wonderful, very communicative, but they haven't been able to open it. I know that, and I always mispronounce it, is the Capuchins.
Yes, the Cap.
That's sitting empty. We haven't been able to reach our contact there.
I have a great contact there. I will speak with.
If you could, that would be great. I mean,
I
the
will.
season's almost done, but just, moving forward.
Yeah, because you guys used it for.
Yeah, see, we foul shooting contests, but we couldn't get in there this year either.
Because of COVID.
Yeah, because of COVID reasons, we weren't allowed to use it. The Knights of Columbus use that for a foul shooting contest every single year, and this is the 3rd year in a row now that we haven't been able to have our.
And
We were supposed to have it at St. Basil's, but then they canceled on us too,
And Garrison's
unfortunately.
been great. They have come in the end, and they're letting us use their space for games. But, we have, most of our teams want, 2 nights of practice a week. I mean, again, and it's not just for sports. It's the other thing, right? Like, we're not just sports people. The whole idea of a multi-use program, having a theater across, let's make that into something more than, theater. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I thought I read in the paper today that they're looking to build a softball field down in Mayor's Park.
That's a village.
That's the village.
Yes, I know,
And
but still.
yeah, no, from what I understand, I mean, I haven't gotten any contact from.
No, I just read it in the paper today. It's
Yeah.
first I saw about it too.
From what I understand,
So-
I think the rec, I think that Jeff Amato heads up the
Yeah, he
rec section
does.
of the village, and they've taken a number, and plenty of money, I think, and they're revamping that softball field.
Right.
So, that's great. If anybody in the village wants to reach out to, I'd be happy to be a liaison with them, to speak with
Well,
them.
I'm the
to see-
liaison for the village, but like I said, that's new to me when I read it in the
Yeah.
paper today.
Well, it's interesting because I don't see a future with, I mean, I wouldn't discourage anything, but Mayor's Park, if you go down there at high tide, it seems to be getting,
It's wet.
bring a pair of boots if you're going to play softball.
Especially the northern.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of times, I mean, and, you know, it's part of the environmental issue, obviously, but there's a lot of times that the field gets wet. And I know that was part of the decision of not investing the Haldane field down there because of, I know that the proposal was to raise it 6 feet,
Yeah,
which requires quite a bit of material, so.
quite a bit of money.
It's a big area, yeah, it's a big area. So.
Yeah.
And it was the town dump at one point.
It was,
Yeah, that was the town dump. So,
waterfront property, town zone.
it's crazy. Village dump, I'm sorry,
That's the way
village.
things were back in the 40s and the 50s. You know?
Yep. So, all right, anything else? Or we're gonna adjourn. Katrina, you gotta have something.
Just here for the fun of it. Everybody's here just for the fun of it. Yeah.
You can't adjourn yet, you have to do vouchers first.
Oh, I'm sorry. We have to do vouchers. We got business to do, so.
COVID has changed everybody's view of what fun is. So.
You know, I do have to comment the fact that we have an audience tonight, which is interesting, and nobody has to wear a mask anymore. So thanks to science and people diligently wearing masks for 2 years, hopefully this is behind us. Let's keep our fingers crossed. But so thank you. So approver of vouchers, general.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Highway.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Continental Village Park District.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Continental Village Water District.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you.
We need a second.
Second.
Second.